Now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Hello and welcome to the Pick and Go podcast. Can you smell it? It's rugby in the air. It might be October, but there's plenty to be excited about. Oh, what a weekend we were sort of treated to last weekend, and plenty more to come. I know what you're all thinking. No, I'm not Patrick Jones. Patrick's away on holiday, so once again I've been called up to the host seat, so hopefully I can fill that void well. And joined today by Karl. Paul's also away. So Karl, welcome back to Pick and Go. It's been a wee while.
Been a wee while. I'd like to think out injured or out on secondment, but I'm back now. Good luck getting rid of me, is all I can say.
The super sub. So hopefully you can come on and give us some hot tips and
some hot
steer us
takes
into a winner or two.
Yep.
Cool. As I said, there's plenty to sort of talk about. The Women's World Cup obviously got underway on the weekend, but we've got a special guest coming on a bit later to hopefully to help us preview and review this weekend's action. So we're going to start with everyone's favourite provincial competition, the Bunnings NPC, and what a weekend we were treated to. 4 cracking games. All 4 of them pretty much could have gone either way. Going down to the wire, we had Auckland just getting over the line on Friday night, Saturday 2 close games, and then Bay of Plenty getting revenge on Waikato. So, I mean, where do you start? You probably start on Friday night. You can surprised Auckland sort of getting up there. Personally, I was quite big on Harbour. Did you think Auckland had a chance there?
I think Harbour were definitely, the better team for most of the game there. Obviously had the home crowd, the home advantage. It was great weather. The Auckland team relied and got home on the back of a couple of big names, or one big name, Akiriwana. He had a pretty big second half there. It was, as you say, it was touch and go, sort of heart and mouth stuff. I thought Harry Plummer was huge in the 12 jersey for Auckland. It was a good game. Yeah, it was a really good game to watch.
It was you clutching getting that final penalty. He did miss that conversion, a few minutes earlier where they were, they just got over, and I think that would have got them ahead. But no, he managed to sneak on through. So good on him. There was the Tuvasa yellow card. Do you think it should have been a yellow?
That was a bit contentious. I thought the line he was on, he couldn't have made it much. He couldn't have got out of the way at all, I don't think. I think Rogers seemed like a stand-up guy, right? I don't know the guy, but I don't think he was intentionally trying to take the legs out from Tavita Lee, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was genuinely having a crack at the ball. Having said that, it wasn't pretty.
No.
And I can understand the yellow.
Tuvasa got that sent off, and then Tavita Lee went off. HIA didn't come back, and then from there Auckland sort of just pounded away. And as you said, Kiriwane with a one particularly big play, and Auckland getting home. So they'll be happy to be there. I think Harbour would be pretty disappointed. It was a really great season from them, and it's definitely a pass for them. I don't think many people had them sort of getting to the quarterfinals in the first place, let alone hosting a home quarterfinal. So hopefully that means plenty more to look forward to for them next season.
Interesting. I heard on the commentary they were saying the last time I think Auckland and Harbour met in a finals match was 1994.
Wow!
Unless that was the final. The last time they met in the final, but it seems like a long time ago.
Harbour wouldn't have been there for a while, and Auckland themselves haven't exactly been the greatest provincial team in the last few years, so I wouldn't be surprised to hear that.
How good was NPC in the 90s? Wow, bring that back.
Taking it back, the sellout crowds.
I feel like it's getting closer
to
it's getting closer to the 90s than what it has been recently.
Competitively,
even the number of All Blacks or even ex-All Blacks, big name players that everyone knows playing, it's cool to see.
Absolutely. Well, I think so obviously like this, a lot of guys making a name in Super Rugby, and then you're sort of on the cusp of the All Blacks yeah, I've got some fond memories of sitting on the bank at Lancaster Park back in the day, watching some of those great Canterbury teams doing their thing.
Class.
Few good wins over Otago, I'm sure. So we'll move on to Saturday afternoon at the stadium, the Cape Town. Wellington coming up to starting off very strong, and then Hawke's Bay sort of, I don't know, clawing their way back, throwing the ball around. It was just a beautiful day for some rugby, and the result and the game kind of showed that. Yeah. What were your big takeaways from that game?
Wellington up 18-0.
Yeah.
I wonder if Wellington fans will be concerned about how easily Hawke's Bay came back into it in the second half. As you say, they were throwing it around a little bit, sort of chancing their arm, but it got pretty tight at the end there.
Yeah, it would have a lot tighter than they would have hoped.
Yeah, for Hawke's Bay to hold. I don't think Wellington scored another point until the 75th or 76th minute.
Yeah, it's a penalty. Was it the try? Oh no, it was a try.
Might have been the try. Yeah. So yeah, obviously good effort by Wellington, beat Hawke's Bay twice now. One to get the Shield, obviously, a few weeks back, and now to make the semis. But yeah, I don't know. I think Wellington will probably rue some missed opportunities and not being able to really make a statement in that game and put Hawke's Bay away.
Yeah,
they could have really did some damage mentally, I think.
Yeah, well, I had a live bet. I think I got about Wellington minus 35.5 or something like that when they went up early. So I was quickly brought down to earth there. But the way they were playing, they came out hot and they played really well. But they're definitely concerns about playing for 80 minutes. And I think if you play against probably did that against Canterbury, if they made the final and Canterbury made the final and you did that against Canterbury, you might not be so lucky.
Yeah.
Kudos to Wellington though. Holding off the Hawke's Bay rolling maul. I think they had about 3 lineouts. When they were going for a late try, and then at the end it was a not straight lineout throw, which sort of decided the game almost. So I think
who was Justin Marshall talking about?
The ex-All Black.
Yeah, someone's got some hot takes. I don't mind it actually. For those that don't know, he's saying if in a lineout, if the other team doesn't challenge or doesn't jump, does it really matter if it's not straight? I've never thought about that, but I can get behind that.
You might get people taking the piss and those 5-minute lineout drives, but I mean no one goes up for them anyway. So. Yeah.
I guess it's a risk you take if you cannot throw it straight, and if they don't go up, sweet as, play on. But if they do go up, then
just throw someone up, or just have someone sort of jumping on the spot. See what happens. So New Zealand Rugby, or World Rugby, I should say, if you're listening to this, it's a potential world change.
Just credit Pick and Go, please.
Yeah.
Or maybe Justin Marshall.
A former All Black who might be in the commentary team is a fan of. So yeah, kudos. Wellington's through. They'll play Harbour on Friday night at the stadium again. Later on Saturday, 4:35, we had Canterbury versus Northland. Not the most sort of convincing performance from Canterbury, but they never really looked like losing it, did they?
They started hot.
Yeah.
And another one.
Minute,
this is something in my eye. This is the third game we've talked about where one team started hot, got out to a big lead, and didn't kind of dig the knife in or put the sword in their opponent. I saw, their first try was within 2 or 3 minutes.
So Mighty Williams, lovely little line-out move.
It was an explosive move around the side there.
See it.
But yeah, credit to Northland, they stuck in it. I think they've potentially laid a platform or a blueprint for Bay of Plenty this week to have a real crack at Canterbury.
Yeah. And they Northland were, they got their penalty and they took the 3, but they were only down by 7. If they'd gone for the corner and gone for a try there, it could have really tested. I mean, that Canterbury 4-pack's just huge. The names in there are just, and even on the bench, they've got guys who are sort of.
I can see why they went for the penalty, but I think they definitely made the wrong move. I think they should have gone for the try, and then play for the penalty.
Yeah, they could have got another penalty later or something. Yeah,
just it didn't. And there was a lot of confusion. They didn't really know who everyone's looking around, and the ref didn't know what was happening. So perhaps a little bit of lack of leadership, or no one really wanted to step up and make that decision, which potentially could have cost them.
it's good for me. I've got a kebab bet on with both Patrick and Paul that Canterbury are going to win the outright competition. So I was a little. I wouldn't say. I think Canterbury always sort of, they were in control, but it kind of got a lot closer than I would expect. Shout out to all the 1 to 12 punters on the weekend as well. I think it came through in all 4 games.
1 to 12 multi, how good.
Yeah, if you throw a few of them, there's bonus back on all 4 games, so there could have been some money to be made there. Also, like Harbour, I would just shout out Northland. Great campaign. Hands down the most improved team of the tournament. To go down to Christchurch in the quarterfinal and to get within 7 points, huge effort. They've got good wins against Wellington, Auckland. So they bet at least in 2 of the other quarterfinalists. So hopefully that's a good thing. Sign for good things to come, and maybe they'll get a few more. If they get a few more All Blacks back for some time next season, it'd be great. So
just have to say, given I haven't been on this pod all season, disappointed Otago. Very disappointed.
Yeah, well, they were. I came in hot in them earlier in the year.
I know. And, I was listening.
It was looking good. They started off well. They were
first man out, 5th, finished in the 9th spot overall. So tough going.
They had a few close losses. They got that, obviously beat Waikato towards the end of the season, nearly beat Canterbury. If they'd got that win against Canterbury, it could have. They would have stuck in, wouldn't they?
I'll tell you what, if they're in the Evens conference, they would have made it over Northland. There we go.
And the Evens one was supposed to be the hard
tough
conference.
One. Yeah.
So it turned out to be a pretty great competition on the whole. So hopefully we've got a couple more exciting games to look forward to. Bay of Plenty get their revenge on Waikato. Huge performance from Bay of Plenty. How good's that backline?
Backline looks slick. Number 6 was the Arkoi.
Yeah,
he is a beast.
Justin Sangster in the second row, he got that intercept, and then that ball out to the right wing.
Yep.
Leroy Carter.
Leroy,
yeah. He's awesome, that Carter.
He is. He's
one to look out for.
Very fast. He's got a sick lid. I thought Waikato was sloppy. They didn't seem like themselves. They looked like they were forcing a few things.
Set the tone in that kickoff. The first kickoff where they dropped the ball and it went out. It looked a bit chaotic. Shout out to the Waikato lock, McFannel. Scores a double in the first half.
He was big in the first half, and they looked like they were on. His first try was powerful. It was a huge effort, and his second try, I don't know if I've seen a
Which
bigger
was his
hole.
first? Oh yeah, the second one was
the second one was through the gap. Sort of everyone just sort of stopped and looked at him, and it's good effort from anytime a type forward can get a double.
Yeah, as a former number 5 myself, it was glorious to see a double in the first half, and showed a bit of footwork and a bit of strength. So I love to see it. Did we see enough from Bay of Plenty? Do you reckon they can cause the upset this weekend?
I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if they upset Canterbury. I think we'll get to it shortly, but I think Canterbury will win. But I think Northland potentially laid the blueprint for Bay of Plenty in this Canterbury game. If they can just stay in it like they did with Waikato and like Northland did with Canterbury, just stay in the game, you're going to be a chance. So I like to do weather watch. I haven't had a look at the weather in Canterbury for Saturday night.
I can tell you that it's nice in Wellington. It's a start.
I have done weather watch for Wellington. I'm going to have a quick look now.
Yeah.
At time of record, it's currently 13 degrees in Canterbury.
Yeah. But as I said before, that backline electric. So if they can gel, it was that counter attack. I don't think the counter attack wasn't a try, but it was when someone put the kick through and Carter sort of got to the ball, but he couldn't quite get it down. So they've just got so much potential in that back line, and Caleb Trask is doing well, just sort of running the show, and he's got a pretty reliable boot as well.
Yeah.
It should be a good game. Not enough points for that game. Not that there's a line for that game, so it might be a little bit big, but we'll probably get to that.
For those that care, it's supposed to be a nice night in Canterbury.
Get on the over. Nice night. Get on the over. Anything more you want to touch on from the quarterfinals, or should we rip into?
No, let's have a look at the semis, and then I'm excited to get into the women's World Cup shortly. So let's have a look at the semis.
How good was that? Cool. Yep, Friday night, Cape Town, Wellington versus Auckland. Wellington 3.5 point favourites. They've won 8 straight games this season. Wellington have. So I was quite low on them earlier on. You know, I almost had them to miss the 8, but they've come right and they're playing some great footy. Like they're plenty of that backline electric. You know, a lot of potential there. These teams haven't met since 2020. Wellington have won the last 2 meetings. From last I saw, we don't have a Wellington team yet, so we're only like just over 24 hours away from the game, and Wellington still hasn't given us a team yet. So hopefully they know who's playing.
Have a quick look.
I did have a look sort of about just before we came in for recording. We do have a Wellington. I do have an Auckland team. No two of us is Sheik, no Kiriwani, and no Angus Ta'avao. Obviously, yeah, Ta'avao, that was pretty ugly to see. Just freak accident.
We do have a Wellington team.
There you go. Okay.
We do have a Wellington team, and it looks very much unchanged.
There you go. You wouldn't have thought there'd be too much changes
no.
from last week.
Oh, no. No. 12 has changed for Wellington.
Who was playing last week? M.A. Jensen?
Yes, that's the name. So sorry. M.A. Jensen.
Sweet. Yeah. Do you have a lead on this game?
I think Wellington are the bet. At home, let's say they won 8 straight. I think Auckland minus the All Blacks, particularly Akira Ioane, he's huge. That will hurt them. And Wellington will probably take a little bit out of their. They'll be just like I said, they'll be disappointed with the way in which they let Hawke's Bay back into the game, but to hold them off and score the try at the end to sort of really seal it, I think they'll take something out of that. Nice night in Wellington, Friday night, Cape Town. It's
could be a few points. Could be a few points scored. I think Wellington, they just need to work on probably just putting together that 80-minute performance. But yeah, I'm with you. I think they're definitely the bet. Auckland, if they are to win, like I think their scrum was massive last week against Harbour. So if they obviously Ta'avao came off just before halftime anyway, but and they are losing to Kiriwani, but they do still have Petru Tuipulotu there. I think he's a massive key cog in this team. So if Auckland are to get up, I think it's going to be on the back of a big forwards performance led by him, and probably
Hickey Plummer combo needs to fire again. Like I said, Plummer
he's great,
pretty much everywhere last week. But
real captain's knock, as they say. And Bryce Team actually was looking pretty good at centre as well. So anyone, if Auckland do get up, anyone you've sort of circled to stand up apart from who we've named already, which is half the team.
No, just the rest, the other half. Then they'll need to put in a big shift if they're going to get the win here.
Yeah, I just haven't been convinced by Auckland. I was quite big on Harbour last week. In Auckland, to their credit, they got the job done, but it was hardly the most convincing performance. And this Wellington team, although they looked vulnerable a bit in that second half, they'd obviously done enough in the first half, and to hold defensively to sort of for their mentally to come back in that final sort of 10 minutes there where Hawke's Bay were holding an attack and be able to sort of hold off that Hawke's Bay rolling ball, which you'll all know it's been pretty much unstoppable this year, apart from the 2 games against Wellington. So I think Wellington will be too good there.
Yep.
Heading down to Orange Theory Stadium on Saturday night.
No teams as yet.
No teams as yet. Yeah. No. So I imagine being Saturday, I think we should have teams.
Should be shortly. Yeah,
this afternoon at some point. I don't think we'll see any big changes from either team. I don't think there's any injuries of note. Canterbury, like Wellington, they've won 8 in a row, so they've only lost 1 game this season. It was that game to Taranaki in the wet a few weeks ago, and they've sort of haven't really looked back since then. They've been probably the form top team of the comp for the last wee while. They've won 4 of the last 5 against Bay of Plenty. I'm just looking at the 9.5 point line, and judging by the quarterfinals last week, something tells me that's a little bit too big. I do think Canterbury are the bet, but 9.5 points.
I'll give me the plus,
Yeah.
please. I like what Bay Plenty did. They dug in against Waikato last week, and I think they could do the same again this week. Like I said, as you've touched on, I think Canterbury are the bet. They should win, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a upset here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
I'm hoping
very
not for
my kebab bet tally, but
it is very hard to go to Christchurch Orange Theory Stadium, and as a Highlanders fan, to go there and get a win. So they are up against it.
Though,
It does.
And Bay Plenty will have memories of, I can't remember what year it was. They won the Shield on the Shield down there. So I think that would have been obviously at the old stadium. My only concern with Bay Plenty is that they've had 2 hard physical games against Waikato in a row, and I mean, Canterbury sort of had that game against Otago in the final round robin game, and they've had that game against Northland where they've won, they've sort of kept the other team at arm's length, haven't exploded yet. So the concern might be that they might be a little bit more fresh than Bay Plenty, but I'm loving what I'm seeing from that team, just on attack. That back line, those wingers, Awong and Carter. Awong, he just runs some beautiful lines. Sort of, he's real busy. He sort of finds himself in the midfield, running some good lines off Trust there. So Canterbury would you'd imagine do their research this week, but just they'll have to be wary of that counter attack. Also, shout out to the punter. I just had a look before. Someone's put $1,000 at Bay Plenty to win the outright tournament at $8. So
good.
I wouldn't be surprised to see an upset this week. And I think that if Auckland won, potentially they might have a home final. I don't know how it works when it gets very bit complicated when they're in different conferences. But yeah. Anything else you want to talk to about either of those games, or should we just rip in some betting?
Let's get to some betting. Love punting.
Bunnings EPC semi-finals, best bet of the week, Karl.
Gone to the Wellington Auckland game. You said the line's 3.5. I'm going to go into the try bet market and take either team under 7.5. So either team by 8 or less, under 8, sorry. 7 or less at 235 is my best bet for this match.
Just going to look now. The line's shot out to -6.5 now. So maybe it's a reaction
on the back
to the
of the team naming. Yeah.
So maybe the punters are liking Wellington from there.
Hang on, so I might have a bit more value in my bet then.
The try bet is that's not right. $2.45.
Oh, you get an extra 10 cents.
Take that.
I'll take that.
I'm going to go with the same game. I'm just going to take Wellington. -6.5 though. Yeah, I'll take Wellington. I think they'll be too good for this Auckland team, especially with those key outs as well for Auckland. Those three players. So 2 of us are Sheik. I'm still not convinced he's a winger, but I wonder whether Ian Foster's had tapped the Auckland coaching team on the shoulder and said, "Hey, can we get a look at this?" Which is, speaking of that, I'm happy to see Tuasa Sheik in the squad for the Northern Hemisphere.
Yes.
We probably won't have time to sort of break down those squads, but there was nothing too surprising about that. But -6.5 Wellington for me.
The only thing that was surprising was that there were no surprises in terms of changes.
Is that surprising with the imposter there? Right, value bet for semi-finals.
The other game, Canterbury 1-5 in the 5-point winning team and margin market at $7.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah,
he said before. I think it'll be close. So I don't mind that. I'm actually going that game too, and I'm taking the try bet in that one. $2.90. So either team by under 7.5. So nice. I wouldn't be surprised, as you said, to see an upset. I do think Canterbury will win, but Bay Plenty probably they've got it in them. But 7 and under, $2.90.
Tell you what, if Wellington win by 7 and Canterbury win by 7 or less, win by 5 or less, we're both in the money here.
The boys are in. What have we got here? Bonus bet.
Wellington 1-12.
Cool.
Was 270. Now 270.
How good. I'll go same game, but I'll go Wellington 13 plus, which was $3 and it's now 260. So it's sort of lost a bit of value there. I think Wellington. Oh, I can't believe it, But yeah, I really like Wellington this week. It's dangerous, Hope you're listening, Mighty.
You will never hear me say those words.
And we do have Oval Ball multi-buster available this weekend. Place a 4+ league multi, and if 1 league misses, you get your money back, or 6+, 2 leagues misses, 8+, 3 leagues miss. So
money back as a bonus bet.
Money back as a bonus bet.
$50.
Yeah. So what's your multi, Anchor?
Canterbury, $1.30 head to head.
Yeah, I've also got Canterbury.
It's a bit boring.
Oh no, I don't. I've got first half result Canterbury. $1.47.
Oh yeah, nice.
They've sort of, the way that they've been playing their games recently, they've sort of had some strong starts. So $1.47, bit more value on the head to head. I do think the head to head's probably not a bad shout as well.
Yep, nice. Cool. And look at this, perfect timing as we segue into the Women's Rugby World Cup. Richard, we've got our guest on the line from SENZ Radio, Mark Stafford. Staff, how are you, mate?
I'm good, brothers. How are you boys doing down in the ivory towers of Petone?
Very good, mate. It's very warm in the studio. But no, doing very well and very keen to chat rugby and women's rugby with you. I know you're a massive fan and very passionate about it. So, yeah, keen to rip in.
Yeah, I loved it last week. Jeez, it was a long time coming, but it was everything I thought it would be, and probably a dose of a bit more too. It was a fantastic weekend for rugby.
Yeah, I agree. Were you at Eden Park?
I was not, but I live about a 10-minute drive from Eden Park, and so I sort of got a free Rita Ora concert and the Oohs and Ahs. And so when the TV's about 10 seconds behind, I knew something good was about to happen. When the roar came in through my windows, I thought, watch the TV, something's happening. But no, it was fantastic.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, you guys, when I was watching that, just the start of that game with the haka, you really sort of felt the emotion, the goosebumps. Did you guys have the same feeling?
Oh, look, the pre-game was awesome. The haka was just, it's different to the men's haka. It was almost more a spiritual type haka, and it brought everyone in. I felt like it brought the world in as well. And then just the little things like Hini Wehi Mohi, and you guys might not be old enough to remember that she sung the New Zealand anthem for an All Black test in the Northern Hemisphere, and she sung it in Māori. No one knew she was going to do it. Only she knew she was going to do it, and it rocked the world, and it rocked New Zealand going, what's going on here? So she was a trailblazer there. Then the Pātea Māori Club with Poye. I loved that touch as well. And then all the poi in the stand, it was just like, it's just like you order an entree to get ready for the main, and almost the entree is as good as the main dish. It was really cool. They did it so well.
Yeah, I agree. I was sitting on the couch with my 2 young girls and watching it, and I was nearly in tears with the haka and the pre-match stuff. It was awesome. It really was, and I've been looking forward to this for so long, and I sat and watched the games beforehand, and they were awesome. But that Black Ferns game was just unbelievable, and I'm incredibly excited to be here to talk about it, because some of those players in that team, might give a few of the men a run for their money at the moment.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Getting everyone on board, and seeing Les Alder, on the sideline. Did you see the video of that? That's awesome. It just shows, obviously, like how close knit that group is, and the fact that she felt that she could. I think I read somewhere that it started happening, and she was just like, I have to do this, and you just absolutely love to see that. So they've really got the country on board, and what a start. Although it wasn't a great start on the rugby field for them, the first 30 minutes they went down. They were 17-0 down after 30 minutes, and Australia was sort of all over them. I think my take from that was that they probably just got a bit overwhelmed by the by the situation? You guys Steph, did you sort of feel that as well?
Yeah, I wasn't too worried when it was 1 score, then 2 scores, then it became 3. And I was like, wow, we're 3 converted tries behind here. And I was a little bit worried, but you could just see, and I thought a real crucial part of that game was I was looking at the senior players. And by senior, I mean the ones that have played on the big stage before. So Sarah Hiddeny, Portia Woodman, Stacey Flula, those sorts of players, they're used to that sort of thing. And they've been down to Fiji and Australia and come back and won. And I think we saw the value of those women in the Black Ferns just to keep level heads, because there would have been some youngsters that were, oh my God, we've got 40,000 people here. We're at home and we're 17-0 down. It was eliminated from their minds. Great leadership from those ones. But boy, what a fight back, an incredible fight back. But I will frank that by saying Aussie did go down to 13 for 10 minutes. And that's so it sort of coincided with our comeback. So really happy with the result, but I'm quite guarded about, I think it's a good forecast to suggest they can win this thing, because they needed a few things to go their way. They need some individual performances, which happened, but still some concerns in that game for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the yellow cards at the same time were crucial. I feel like the tide was kind of turning just before that, and that sort of kick-started us, gave us the momentum a lot faster than it was sort of building. And then to get those 2 tries before halftime and go into halftime, I think they were 1 try down at halftime. Yeah, that was, they obviously got the same pep talk that England got at halftime, and to come out, and I feel like they put on a clinic in that second half, and that was good to watch, and that's got me excited for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, passes were sticking and things were going. Yeah, like in that first 30 minutes, they were rushing stuff. It looked rushed. But it was those yellow cards. I think it was 17-0 when that happened. So yeah, that does show that this team sort of, yeah, they're building, but they're definitely not where they probably want to be at the start of a World Cup. But yeah, huge comeback, great to see. 41 answer points, and they sort of showed they can throw the ball around a bit and also do it in tight. A couple of good tries from sort of Moles and around the ruck as well. So it's great to see. Was there any? I mean, we've already mentioned a few players, but was there anyone in particular, Steph, that sort of you had the star next to as your player of the match?
Oh, look, I'm probably going to sound like a bit of a jump on the bandwagon and mentioning Ruby Tui, but gee, she's just such a complete player. And I was watching that thinking about, imagine her as the open side flanker as well. Like, her work rate is phenomenal. She smokes people, and she's not very big, but her heart is the size of a lion. And out there on the right wing, no issues out there defensively. I mentioned a couple of concerns. One of my concerns was Portia Woodman's side. Defensively, I think those first 2 tries that Australia got, almost inexcusable defence by Woodman and Holmes there. There's some communication issues there. And if you're scouting the Black Ferns, that's where you're attacking. Like, there's no doubting Portia Woodman's attacking prowess, but I'd suggest her and Whitney Hansen and Wayne Smith, they'll have a jolly good look at her defence, and she'll either smoke someone next time there's a defensive ask of her. Because that, to me, in those first 20, at 17-0 down, that's where I was worried, because it was glaring. It was really, really glaring. But standouts, yep. Ruby Tui, I thought, was really impressive. And our front rowers, props and hooker, there was a break that Amy Rule made, and she was just high knee lift, pumping, and I'm like, get out of my road. And I love that, because we haven't seen that from our front rowers for quite a while. And so I love the run and gun style of New Zealand. They're all good ball handlers. And one more thing, my player of the match, while I said Ruby Tui, if I can pick one facet, watch her pass. Her pass both ways, left to right, right to left, is an absolute tracer bullet, always finds the mark. I think she's the best passer of a rugby ball in world rugby for women. Her pass unlocks so many defences, and just watch that next time, fellas. It's phenomenal.
You say, imagine her in the 7 jersey. You could have her in the 10 or in the midfield as well with that pass. Yeah, I had a note about that pass as well. It's just, I think there was one particular, it was maybe set up for one of the tries, and they had a big kick, and Yeah, potentially. And they just she sent her. It looked like it went over about half the field. Yeah, and it was just pinpoint and beautiful to see.
It's funny you both say she could play 7, she could play 10, she could play 12. She just about played every position except 14. She's clearly been given the green light from Wayne Smith to just do whatever she wants, get her hand on the ball as much as possible, and just show up. Because she was everywhere. Like multiple times coming out on the left, combining with Portia Woodman to set up a couple of tries. And I thought in sort of her absence on the right, Fleur pushed out from centre to the wing, and she was huge as well. She had a great game.
Yeah, she was probably my
tore
match.
Tore their midfield to shreds a few times, got her hands free in between tackles. It was...
And the offload.
Yeah.
It was the most unnatural looking offload I've ever seen, but it just worked, like you could kind of, it almost looked like she got her hands in the wrong position, and she just flicked it up, and I saw a photo of it, and like the look on her face, even she's kind of like, what am I, where is this going? But yeah, I had her as my my player of the match. I thought she was brilliant.
Obviously, I just touched on two staff, Portia Woodman, just a beast, just
ball in hand,
Lomu-esque.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
There was one point there where she, I can't remember who was outside her. It might have been her first try. It was just a catch and pass to score, and she's like, nah, just head down into the corner.
And that's keeping the aura. That she's got an aura, as she's a finisher, and you're going to have to bend her in half to stop her. So if she had passed, I think Portia would see that as a bit of a chink in her armour. If the goal line's within sniffing distance, I'm getting there, get out of my road. So I quite like she maintained that aura about her with that. Some might say selfish try. She could have just offloaded, but no, go for it, Portia. You're an attacking weapon.
I would have tucked the arm too. Not sure I would have made it, but I would have tucked the arm anyway.
I think we've already sort of touched on this, but I did have just written down, did the performance make you feel better, worse, same about a potential semi-final, final meeting with France or England? I think I know the answer.
I think I need to see another game to answer that accurately. I need to see those defensive deficiencies ironed out. I think I need to see a little bit more physical presence from the forward pack to take on those big dogs. Wayne Smith has said that clearly England are the front runners, and you have to agree with them, but they have got time. They have got time, but they haven't got a lot. They haven't got a lot. They're gonna have a couple of not so tough games now, and then it's going to come bang. The big trains come into town, and they've got time to iron it out, training in a couple of hit and giggle games. So I think in a roundabout way, not more confident, no. But I was reasonably confident of a semi. As for a final, somewhat confident. Winning the championship, not confident. But I'm prepared to have my mind changed.
Yeah, love to see it. We might learn a few more things this week against Wales. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat to Steph. I think if we were to face France, I think we should get the job done at the moment. But England is the different beast. Having said that, they struggled. I don't know if struggled is the right word. We'll get into their game shortly, but their first half against Fiji wasn't super convincing. So maybe a little bit of rust there too. But yeah, I'm with you, Sap. I'd like to see another game, that sort of second half again for 80 minutes, and sort of really put on a dominant performance, particularly this week against Wales, before I'm not all in, because I am all in Black Ferns, but before I'm convinced that they can beat England. With that said, I will take the $3.
Yeah, it almost would have worked in our favour if we had like France in our pool to have that big hit out, because we've got Wales this week and then Scotland next week. Which I mean, that game on Sunday was a brilliant game. Probably the game, well, definitely the game of the round, closest. Coming down to the 84th minute. But we're 47 points favourites this week, and you imagine it'll be pretty similar next week. So they've got the home crowd behind them. They've maybe got that rust, in that first half an hour, got that rust out of the system. But I'm still thinking that France we should be able to get over. But yeah, England's just going to be another and we'll learn more this weekend as well.
Do bear in mind that the other half of the squad that didn't play, they've still got that rust. And I think we'll see quite a few of them trot out this week against Wales. So don't be surprised if it's another rusty first half. So maybe if you're going to have a little sneaky investment, maybe on a halftime point start or a halftime margin being a little bit less than is expected. Wales will... You quite often see in World Cups like this, Wales might put out a B team and throw this game. Not throw the game, but save their best players for a more winnable game. So betting-wise, I'd take a closer halftime margin than what you blokes are suspecting. But a caution is look at the Welsh team that's named. If it's their top team, jump into that. If it's not, maybe not so much confidence around that.
I understand. Like, I get why we would roll out a second team to iron out that rust for those that haven't played, perhaps. But do you not think, Staff, it's probably in our best interest to just keep going with our top team, get that continuity, and really build on what they did in the second half last week?
Yeah, well, that's the dilemma for Wayne Smith, and I would tend to agree that yes, start with the bulk and put your girls that haven't played, put them on the bench, and they can come on and have a meaningful half hour. But yeah, Wayne Smith, he's the professor. He knows a lot more than me. But I'd imagine, the team that you want your combinations to lock in for semi-final, final time, start with them, play them for 50, bury the game, put it away, be leading by 30, whatever it is, and then empty the bench and get who I think is potentially the best winger in the country. Didn't play last week, Aisha Litiinga. I just am a huge fan of her. Unleash her on the Welsh. I know we've got Portia and we've got Ruby Tui, but she is so destructive, the young Wellington winning. I'm a massive fan of hers. Got a good squad. I think punting-wise, really have a look at the personnel that are starting and then at the bench, and then you might get an idea of how the game might flow.
Good advice.
Yeah. And also shout out to Aisha there. I think it was her who got the double against Australia in that game at Orange Theatre Stadium, Steph, was it?
I think just about every time she plays, she gets doubles, doesn't she? She's
at least two or three.
Yeah, she's brilliant. She's just brilliant.
Yeah, incredible to have that depth in the outside, and I wonder if there's a way we could figure out how to get all three of them in the same back line. Stacey Fleur in there as well. That'd be exciting to see. We'll have a quick review of the other games. There was some big point starts, and they sort of lived up to the expectation-ish. France opening game against South Africa. France getting up 40-5. It was 19-all with 10-15 minutes left on the clock. So not 19-all, 19-5 with 12 minutes to go. So I liked what I saw from the South African team. I think they could, cause a few, maybe not upsets, but they could be worth, getting on some, because there'll be some big there could be some big pluses that they're on the right side of. So I don't mind that. France, as I said, pretty unconvincing for 50 minutes. Do you think that was once again Steph just getting that rust off, or a bit more of a bigger issue for France there?
No, I think first game blues for just about every team. They all looked a little bit rusty. And remember, this is a World Cup, and there's a lot of these women never played World Cups. They never played in front of crowds like this. They never played in New Zealand. It's a huge mental ask to be playing at a World Cup representing your country, and all the emotion that instills in you, and then wanting to do your best, the actual internal pressure you're giving yourself as well as the external pressure. They just need to settle into it. But there's a really good opportunity, I think, for the punters just to really investigate the stats, find out who's playing, who's not playing, look at their strategies, look for strengths and weaknesses. Like back when I was in that building, you'd look at, like the Portia Woodman defensive and Renee Holmes defensive zone, who have they got on the right side? And do they attack down the right? Bit like how you form your opinions on an NRL. Like Souths might attack down the left and Penrith are weak on the right. So boom, there's a soft spot. Take your anytime try scorers down the left-hand side. Take your, that sort of thing. So really go the step further that the average punter doesn't. That's what I'm saying. And I've always said, do it all yourself before you look at the prices. Don't go looking for a good price and then see if it fits your theory. Develop your theory. Go hunt the price.
Oh, that's inspirational. I love that. Really to run through a wall for you, Steph. I was just on the French. I was quite impressed with, is it Laurie Census, the halfback?
She's awesome.
She's Six Nations player of the tournament. She scored 2 tries up the gut. She looks very dangerous. And just their backline speed. I haven't watched a lot of French women's rugby, but that was pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, Laurie Census I think she scored about 8 tries in 5 games in Six Nations or something like that. So definitely, as you say, Steph, you're looking for some stats. She's a good one to throw into your multis as a try scorer, or even having a go at first try scorer like she did on the weekend. So next up was England Fiji. We've already sort of touched on that. Slow start for England, but boy, when they got going that second half, they looked pretty good.
Pretty scary. Pretty scary. And apart from the Black Ferns, Fiji had the biggest crowd contingent there.
Yeah,
they
awesome.
are the best rugby supporters. They are so awesome. This is new stuff for them. This is new territory for Fiji. Good. But when you think about, there's a lot of teams, and I'm including South Africa, Fiji, the next World Cup. This stuff's being piped into their countries and making their women proud. There's a big women's sport movement. I think New Zealand's ahead of a lot of countries. This is now showcased around the world, and I think we're going to see the developing nations, and I'll include South Africa in that as far as 15s rugby goes for women. They're going to get good quickly. America as well. This is a really good training ground for these teams. I know it's a World Cup, but it's a training ground on what they need to do to build towards the future. And the next World Cup, and particularly the one after that, and I know it's a long way away, but in 8 years, we're going to have 6 teams vying for the title, not 2.5. And this, you go through this period now for the betterment of the women's game, and I think it's inevitable.
Yeah, I think credit to Fiji that first half. They came out and really took it to England, and I think shocked them. And their crowd and the atmosphere probably had a fair bit to do with that. But that English team obviously got a fair telling off at half time, because to come out and win the second half 60-5, tell you what, if you're on the minus, it was good to see. It was good to see, because for a long time there, it wasn't fun watching.
It was both of ours better
It was
around for rugby, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
So yeah, came through. Cruise time in the end. But shout out to the Fiji crowd as well. You heard when it's great to see them get 3 tries, and we've sort of seen, even with the men's team, the Fijian men's team, with the introduction of the drawer, and even the Fijian women drawer, they won the Super Rugby Women's competition this year. So I think you're right, Steph. I think in a couple of years' time, Fiji could be, a real force in women's rugby, and you saw they've got some potential. I mean, those 2 wingers are just there's some real potential there. So yeah, hopefully they can sort of build from there. And I see they're coming in as favourites this week, so that'd be interesting to see. Sunday we had 3 games. Italy beat USA 22-10. Good performance from Italy. I think they were the underdogs for that game, so it was good to see them get up. USA would have been pretty disappointed. I think that loss will probably mean that they meet probably either France or New Zealand in the quarterfinals now, so makes their sort of road to get to a semi-final. They've had some success in the Women's World Cup. They won the first one and made a few semi-finals since. So they'll be a bit disappointed. Might be looking for a big bounce back this week. Canada 41-5 over Japan. Obviously, never in doubt. Canada, a couple of good players. That Canadian number 8, Sophie De Goody, she looks like a real one to watch. And I've looked up a few stats, and she's another good try scorer to potentially throw in some multis. She's got, for number 8, got a really good try scoring strike rate. And Wales, that 84th, 85th minute penalty against Scotland was brilliant to see. So, anyone have any sort of hot takes from those 3 games? Seth, start with you.
Not really. Like I thought Canada, they've got good rugby pedigree, and you look at the teams that have had pedigree in the 7s, because particularly in the women's game, 7s is the feeder into 15s, and like Fiji and women's 7s was pretty much no good 4 years ago, and now they're contenders, and we're starting to see some of them feed through. I thought Canada might be a little bit better. I think they're a team that can get better as the tournament goes on quite quickly. So I'll be having a look at point starts for them in the future as well. But it's hard to say. I didn't watch every single game. That was too big a ask for me because, for goodness sake, Bathurst was on.
Yeah, it was.
I had a few things to a big itinerary and pizzas to eat. But yeah, I think Canada. I'm just going to take a watching brief of it. If I see improvement from them this weekend, I'll definitely have a look at the point start the following week.
Nice. Karl,
I was pretty impressed with Scotland, how they sort of stuck in it and gave it to Wales. And as you said, they managed to tie it up. And Wales had the penalty right in the death there to win it. So not really sure. I didn't watch it all. I watched parts of it and then caught up the highlights. But not really sure if it was Wales bad or Scotland good. Bit of both, I think.
That's why you need more than one game. That's sort of what I'm saying. Hey, it's like, how can we have a strong opinion? And for 95% of New Zealanders watching these games, it would have been the first time I'd ever watched Scotland play.
Yeah,
I can't. I need more than one game. I'm a savant, but I need more than one game.
Yeah, and it makes looking at this week's betting a little bit trickier too.
Yeah, well, they're quite big underdogs to Australia, so I might be sort of playing into the plus there. But we'll move on to this week and the action. We'll start with the Black Ferns match, playing against Wales on Sunday afternoon. It was 47.5. I'll just quickly check that that's still the point start. But yep, 47.5. That's right. So with this rust factor, what we saw last week. Personally, I'm thinking that maybe that 47.5 is a little bit too big. What are your thoughts, Karl?
Yeah, I think Staff's convinced me that it might be. I've got. We'll hear more. I think I've tipped the minus in my betting shortly, but if they roll out their top team and they can do what they did in the second half. In this first half, sort of first 50, 60 minutes, then I think the 47.5 should be covered pretty easily. But if they go with what Staff was talking about and sort of go the other way and have a few more combinations they need to work on early, then perhaps it is quite big. I mean, anytime you've got to cover 50 points, it's
and not knowing the teams as well. Like once you see the teams, it'll make a big difference. Have we lost your Staff? You there?
No, I'm here.
So we just lost your video.
I lost my video. I don't know why that's happened. I'll see if I can see. That's it. Fixed it. Oh no, that hasn't fixed it. I'm so. Oh, there it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So New Zealand Wales. I'm very much about, as I mentioned before. Wait to see what the team is. I think if it's by and large the same starting 15, or even a couple from last week's bench get the start, I think they should cover 47. But if there's a raft of changes, I think it could, it might only be a 12-point margin at halftime, something like that. Do bear in mind with these big point starts of 47.5. First, the Black Ferns have to score 47, and then they have to go point for point for Wales. So the way to address that, I think, is how many tries do you think Wales are good for, or penalties, or will they take them? Because imagine if Wales score first, all of a sudden the line is 54.5. Now you're getting awkward. And then there's only so much time on the clock. Wales are going to have periods in the game where they're going to be not dominant, but in possession, and they can deny and they can slow down. So I would go about it saying, how many points will Wales score? I think they might get a converted try. Perhaps they'll take an early penalty. So that's 10. Your next question is, can the Black Ferns score 58? That's how I'd look at that game, but I want to see the team lineups first.
Yeah, I think we saw that with the Australian game last week, right? They just missed the cover and
down by 17. So it was it would have been.
Because we couldn't cover the points Australia scored. It sounded that I thought the line was about right, but I didn't see Australia scoring 17. That's what ruined the point start. It wasn't the points that the Black Ferns scored; it was the points the Aussie scored that ruined the point start.
And Wales, they were throwing the ball around a bit. They scored a couple of nice tries. So I think they've definitely got something on attack. I do think they'll score at least a try, and probably maybe an early penalty. So maybe 10, maybe 14, 13, 14 points.
And remember, these Six Nations women's teams are used to crowds as well. They're used to atmosphere. They have a lot of big match they're used to playing England and France and all of those teams, so less affected by that. They're a rugby playing nation as well. Wales, New Zealand, men or women, it's a big thing. I think I'm talking myself into the plus here, but I do want to see the teams first. I do want to see the teams first.
Yeah, I'm definitely siding with that. Speaking of the teams, is there anyone that you're hoping gets the tap on the shoulder, apart from maybe Aisha Litiega?
She's probably the main one. I'm just wondering if she got a start. I wouldn't be averse to having Ruby Tui at fullback. I thought Holmes at fullback last week maybe needed the run or was found a little bit wanting in that big atmosphere. So there's two questions. Do you chuck her out again to get her used to that? Or do you try Ruby Tui at the back? And then you have Letiinga and Woodman and Flula. I mean, jeepers. You want strike weapons? There's 4 there. What do you cover? You can't cover them all. I don't think they're ready to put Ruby Tui at fullback. She did spend a little bit of time there for counties in the Wharapama Cup, but I'd love to see those 4 at some stage. I don't know. I'm not sure who the other fullback option they've got in that squad. I should know.
Do we lose off the tee if you remove Renee from the fullback there? She's obviously the bigger boot.
I think Ruhe Demont can kick. Kendra can kick as well. Having said that, I'd like Ariana Baylor to get a crack as well. Don't want to diss Kendra, but you want to give these youngsters a taste. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kendra Coxie just sat down on the bench or completely left out. I'm not saying dropped, but you got to get these youngsters in and involved, and that's against Wales. So again, really crucial team naming coming up for this game.
Yeah, interesting to see. Anyone else you had circled? Or
no.
Covered it? Yeah, no. I just want to see, how they can, if they can potentially even have like one of them on the bench and bring them on, and Ruby Tui goes to the back there if we're up by 40 points. Be beautiful to see. New Zealand, they've met four times. I had a look. New Zealand, Wales. Last met in 2017 World Cup, and we won 41-8 men. So it's They scored a try, obviously, so they might have a try or two in them for this game. So we'll see. We'll move on to what I've dubbed the game of the round, and I think most people probably call it the game of the round too. France versus England on Saturday night. They last played in the Six Nations, England winning 24-12. France got off to a hot start in that game, but England sort of came back and kept their win streak alive. Amazingly, they've won, I think it's 20, England's won 26 games in a row now. Like, that's some record, isn't it?
It is. It's very impressive.
Yeah. 16.5 the points there. We still don't have teams yet. I know. You got any sort of early hot takes on this one, Steph? Anywhere you'll be looking before seeing the teams, or are you waiting to see the teams before you make any big calls?
No, I think they put their best teams in, both sides, in this one. This is bragging rights. This is avoiding potentially the Black Ferns in the semis. You'd have to think win this, you're in the final, particularly for France. Absolutely, particularly for France. They're a good side, France. And the background around England, of course, is they've been fully professional for 4 or 5 years now, with fully professional women and trainers and dietitians and academies and all of that. And, England got it right. They invested in the game before it paid back commercially. They're now being paid back commercially for that investment. Sometimes you have to spend some money early to reap the rewards later, whereas it's particularly in New Zealand, it's like, look, they don't generate any money, so we won't put any into it. I think we are going to see from England a pretty polished performance. But France, individual flair, individual brilliance, bloody-minded attitude, love beating England in anything. You think New Zealand-Australia's a rivalry. Let's talk about France-England. Holy heck. I think France cover here. I really do. I think they're a rough chance to win. They'd need England to be a little bit stodgy for a bit longer than they were last week, but I'm not putting a line through France. And what did you say, 16? I think
16, yeah.
They play each other enough. And any rugby, men's or women's, I always think France and Australian teams strategically sort their game out really well. They're really good at identifying weaknesses in opponents, both Australia and France. They've done it for 20 years. In the men's game, I've always thought Australia is the most cerebral rugby team in the world because they're just smart, and France is the same. So they'll chuck some surprises at England. England rugby, as we know, is very structured. So I don't see surprises coming at France from England. I see surprises from France to England, and they'll be desperate to chuck some doubt in their mind. France will want England to have a really searching, doubtful halftime conversation with their coaches and then run out and hit them again. That'll be the game plan for France, and I think they've got the weapons to give them a big, big fright.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, New Zealand rugby fans, we know you can never sleep on France. And we saw what this French team did to the Black Ferns into the India tour last year, where they put about 30 points on them both times. And I know the Black Ferns have come a long way since then, but there's still there's a lot to like about this French team, and to get a point start, seems far too big for me.
Tell you what, in the last 11 times these two have played, only once has the difference, the points
margin.
Margin. Thank you, Steph. You know what I was trying to say. Only once has the margin been greater than 16.5 points. That was in the 2017 World Cup, and it was 17 points. So it's bang on the line. The 10 games since that have all been under. So the plus for me, definitely.
Maybe a bit of England 1 to 12 as well could be not a bad little go there. We'll just go for real quickly on these other games. Scotland, Australia on first game on Saturday. Australia is 22.5 point favourites. Scotland, we obviously saw they've got some fight in them. Australia obviously can score some points. I'm not sure I'd be that keen on backing a team as 22-point favourites that have leaked 40 points in the final 50 minutes of the last game. Once again, Steph, do you like that? Do you think the line's about right, or you got to
probably is? What did you say? 22.
22.5, yeah.
Yeah, so 3 converted tries, and no disrespect, they don't always convert their tries. So you're probably going to need 4 tries. They're not huge penalty takers. Part of me thinks Australia are going to have 15 players on the field for the whole 80. You'd expect that. They'll be devastated. I think they've got bounce back ability. I think they've got, when I say depth, I think their quality of player man for man's quite a bit better than the Scots, but there's always a depth issue, men's and women's in Australia. Don't know about the depth of the opposition. It's probably about right. I haven't got huge confidence. I'd probably say this game and the previous one we talked about, I don't know if the total points for the game is out there, but I'm feeling like unders for both of those games. I think they could be quite doer struggles. And I know Aussie will try and beat Scotland with flair. I love their wing Wong that got sin-binned. She is an excitement machine. And the sevens convert that they got in the midfield, whose name escapes me, she'll get better as the tournament goes on as well. So it's probably about right. If you held a gun to my head, I'd probably favour Australia, but beating that point start, but not with a huge degree of confidence.
Yeah, I just both teams have lost 7 straight coming into this game. So yeah, I think 3 of Australia's losses have been to the Black Ferns, and then there was a couple to Canada and a couple to USA maybe. So they haven't had a great prep for the tournament.
Yeah, I think the more important form guide for Australia wasn't that game against the Black Ferns. It was the game against the Black Ferns in Australia.
Yeah.
That showed me what they've got in there. And again, first game, World Cup, packed house. They won't have all of that. They're not playing New Zealand this time. It's neutral. And they'll tap into what they did in that second game in that series. We played with them in Australia, and they were good there.
Yeah, well, they got within about 8 points, didn't they? Yeah. Yeah, so Karl, Caroline?
I really don't know in terms of point start. I would probably just throw caution to the wind and take the underdog here. Just because, like we said, need to see some more.
And you got to stop agreeing with me, mate.
Exactly, yeah.
Maybe
start spicing this up a little bit. I disagree. Steph doesn't know anything. I'll take the plus.
Next up, USA, Japan, 21.5. Personally, I think that USA will cover that well. I think they'll be hurting from that loss to Italy, and Japan, it could be a long tournament for them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I just don't feel like Japan's got the skill set. They've definitely got the desire, but the skill set's just not there. The athlete isn't quite there. But another developing nation, if their country get them behind them, the next World Cup or the one after, they could be one of the ones knocking on the door. It took the men's team a long time to pose a serious threat in the World Cup. It's awesome they're here. They're absolutely loving it, but I think they could be on the end of a few spankings. So I can't see them staying close.
Yeah, I know. And you sort of mentioned the men's team there. We're seeing what they could do at World Cups, so. But yeah, I just get the feeling it's not going to be this World Cup where that happens. Italy, Canada. We've got Canada 11.5-point favourites. I thought, Italy were really impressive in that one against the USA. Canada probably looked a little bit not quite their best, but they've got the talent, and there's sort of a few players there. I think I'll be on the plus for this one. I really like the plus. I think, the Italy team, they looked really good with ball in hand and sort of seem to have a pretty good structure there, and they'll be full of confidence after that, getting that win. Anyone following me in?
I say sod the point start, take Italy head to head.
Oh,
yeah, I think I did think that. I think they're about $3.80. Yeah, $3.80.
It's worth it, This could be slightly higher scoring. I think I see a lot of errors happening here. I see a lot of opportunity to score points here. So as soon as both teams are scoring over 20 and you've got a small point start, you might as well just take the head-to-head, and that just comes down to whether they get their kicks or not. I think this is worth a speculation on the underdog here. And they beat either Scotland or Ireland in a warm-up game up in the Northern Hemisphere before they came down quite resoundingly.
Yeah, I think Italy beat France as well. I think it was a bit of
maybe it was France then. Yeah, it was a France B, but it was France B, France. So I like where Italy come into this game. I think that, and you don't have to put much on when you're backing an underdog, Yeah.
No, I like that as well. I think I'll definitely we got a plus in the multis, and might have a little say on the head-to-head as well.
I'm just going to disagree with Steph just to keep things spicy. No.
I'm so convincing.
The try bet, either team under 7.5 at 2.80.
There you go. That's half agreeing. Okay.
Yeah. Just one foot in both camps.
Good on you.
Karl loves a try bet. And the final game of the round, Fiji, South Africa. Fiji coming off a 75-point loss. Now 7.5-point favourites this week. So I thought South Africa were probably the team that surprised me the most. I thought they came out hot. Obviously, France probably had a bit of rust in there, but South Africa, there's plenty of potential there. I quite like them actually at the head-to-head, which is about
310. Match result. Yep.
Yeah, 310. Yeah, I think there's definitely so there could be a bit of value on a few upsets this week. Did you have a strong lean on that game, Seth?
Yeah, I was pretty much after that Fijian game last week. I thought whoever they play next week, I'm taking them. And it's not an anti-Fijian bet, but I just felt like they fired their best shots, and boy did they fall away. I mean, opposition ramped up, but I don't know. The 80-minute game's not suited to Fijian style. I think they get beat. I don't want them to, because I love their fans and I love what they bring to the game. But yeah, I think they get beat.
Yeah, I read an article today I think it was on Stuff from one of the Fijian coaching staff saying that they just got bored in the second half and they sort of stopped getting, And then it looked like he was just straight up. He said, some of these people, they haven't played a lot of international rugby. I think the Fijian women's team's only played about 10 games or something, so they're really new to the international game. And he just said they just stopped caring and got bored. So
he should petition for water breaks every 7 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, with that, and there could be in years to come. There could be some redevelopment there, but they're not quite there yet. And I'm not keen to take a team minus 7.5 who gets bored halfway through a game as soon as things don't go their way. So.
The minus punters, thank you.
I had Benson here, quick outright chat, but we've sort of already touched on that. England $1.40, New Zealand $3, France $10. I think Canada's about 18. I'm taking the $1.40.
Oh, give me the $3.
I'm waiting for the TAB to boost the 3 to 4. I might get interested.
We'll see what we can do.
We'll talk to our people and see what we can do.
Just for half an hour, just late night shopping or something,
Just let me know.
I think there's better $3 shots in the head-to-head markets we've just gone through than in New Zealand overall.
Yeah.
Those last two games.
Those two games I like. So, well, speaking of betting, we might as well give a few bets for the weekend.
Yep.
Start off with our guest, Steph. What's your best bet for the weekend?
Italy.
Head-to-head?
Go on.
Love it.
Get in amongst. Not the most certain to win, but the best value bet. I don't know if that's what you were meaning, but the surest bet is the Black Ferns, but you probably can't back them head to head. But I think of all of the things we've just talked about, either Italy or, hate to go against Fiji, but maybe Fiji to go down. One of those two. And they're both about threes, aren't they, you were saying?
Yep. Yeah, 310 and 380 or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Karl?
France plus 16.5 at $1.80 for me.
Yeah. You had the stats to back that up too, you legend. Look at you go, Johnny come lately.
Just a professional, just a professional.
I'll go. I'll just go the plus in that Italy game. I'm not quite as bullish as you, Steph, but I do think I think that's a great bet, and I'll definitely be having a little go at the head-to-head as well.
No, that's fair. You're on this thing every week. I'm just here once, so I don't have any recourse. So, but you do.
We do have a value bet section. So if there is any winning team margins, any try scorers you think might be paying a little bit?
I would say, let me have a little think about this. Whoever's playing left wing for the Black Ferns, go and find the power play or the number of tries and 4+ tries. Whoever's playing left wing for New Zealand against Wales, that's their attacking line. But I think if Portia Woodman is left wing, the TAB will rip the heck out of the value. So if it's not Portia Woodman on the left wing, whoever it is, jump into it, because TAB is scared of Portia Woodman, but they won't be scared of the other wing, and the punters should feast.
So you probably get about $1.50 for Portia Woodman to score 5 tries.
That's right.
Yeah, I was going to say there was an option for Portia Woodman to score 5 tries last week at power play.
Yeah.
So if there's a power play for Etienga, if she's starting, jump on her for 3+. And come on, TAB, that should be 225, something like that.
There's definitely some stats to back that one up as well. I remember doing some research last week, and as you said, I think when she scores 1, she scores 2, or 3. Yeah, so
feel like myself.
We're not talking about your golf.
What was that? Any value? I've got a couple here. I've got I like to get a little bit leery, and I went the 5-point winning team margin for the Black Ferns, 46 to 50.
Size?
$6. Yeah.
Can you throw a dart into the back of the one that's already in the board?
Yes, I can. No, the other one, which I had for upset alert, but is also value, I think France head-to-head at $6. Bit of value there.
$6, yeah. They haven't. I think England have won about 8 straight, but I mean, if anyone could do it,
that's why it's value. That's why it's a bit of a roughie.
It's France rugby. Anything can happen. My value bet was no try scorers out for the England-France game yet, but the French halfback, Laurie Sansis, I have her for the score a try. I think that'd be a great bet. And I did also have circled England 1 to 12 at 280 because it's not massive value, but I think that's a very good bet. My upset alert was, South Africa, Fiji.
Yep.
Steph, you were on Italy.
Italy, my upset would be Fiji losing as well. I'm banging on about South Africa and Italy, aren't I? I think, Italy, I'll probably take a point start, I'll probably take a head-to-head, and I'll probably take a 12 and under, and I'll probably take some try scorers and eat pizza and pasta all weekend and just dine out on being an unbelievable Italiano predictor.
Well, you get the staff special there, South Africa, Italy, multi, $11.80 for that at the moment.
Oh,
So it might be
Let's
not a bad little bet there.
Nice.
And we do have a promotion, multi-magic, so just a women's multi. I'm going to go with Scotland plus 22.5, France plus 16.5, and Italy plus 11.5. So that'll probably work out to be about $6 for that one.
And if you miss by one leg, you get your money back. Your bonus bet.
How many legs do I have to take? 3.
You
can take 2 if you want.
Oh no, I'll take Italy plus, South Africa plus, and I'll take the total points in France, England being under whatever you've got.
It's not out yet, so that's very bold.
I'm just hovering over the miss.
I'll rate that.
I've got Scotland plus and France plus. $3.27.
A lot of pluses going on here.
A lot of pluses, a lot of value.
Could be a weekend for the plus.
Yes, I think it is.
Awesome.
Yep.
We've rambled on a bit. Anyone got anything any final words, Steph, before we call it in?
If you suffer from a blocked toilet, pour in some baking soda, pour in a bucket of hot water with some vinegar in it, and it clears it. I did it yesterday. There's no greater relief.
I really want to follow up with a question, but I'm not sure it's an appropriate.
How was it blocked? I have no idea. It just happened. There are free tips from Steph.
There you go, punters. If you're still listening, you'd be happy you are.
Lovely. Thanks everyone for watching, listening. However you digesting this. Thanks very much, Steph, for joining us. It's been great having you on and to get your knowledge of the game and to share that passion. So
no worries at all, boys.
Cheers for that, and up the Blackburns.
Up the Blackburns.
Cheers for joining us too, Karl.
Thanks.
We'll be back. We'll see you next week for review of all things rugby and a preview of all things rugby.